on past the cloud.
It's not fucking normal, I'll tell you that. Jimmy, come and look at this shit on the other side.
And you could see it.
Look at it.
Look at it exactly.
Look at it in the camera. Look at it in the camera. Look at the ring.
Oh shit.
What the fuck?
Why is it moving like that?
Wait, I'm moving.
I thought it was...
No, it's fucking moving. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. Oh my god.
Sunlight. The White House posting research claiming, quote, solar radiation modification would enable better informed decisions about the potential risk and benefits of SRM as a component of climate policy alongside the foundational elements of greenhouse gas emissions mitigation. Our next guest warns this is simply government's way to control your weather. Mark Morano, publisher of ClimateDepot.com.
Martial law has been declared. This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test of the emergency broadcast system. Under Executive Order 14962, a national state of emergency has been declared by the President of the United States.
Scientists are suggesting CNE may have breached the ozone, causing unforeseeable damage. Berlin, government buildings were set alight by protesters demanding action. Mass demonstrations of public unease over the solar crisis also drew police or military responses.
Very devastating solar storm approaching the Earth, which could knock out the electrical grid on a wide scale.
Here on Weather Command, back-to-back solar flares are headed for Earth, and that new is a double-edged sword, or that news. So on one hand, it could create the dazzling auroras that we're used to when it comes to solar flares, but on the other, there could be some fluctuations in the power grid. NOAA has issued a minor geomagnetic storm watch for tomorrow. So for most people, a geomagnetic storm, it's going to be something that you don't have to be too worried about. The watches, though, do help government agencies, power providers, even telecommunication companies, satellite operators to prepare to protect systems that are affected by space weather. Now, NOAA satellites are constantly monitoring the sun for activity, which helps the Space Weather Prediction Center issue forecasts. All newer NOAA GOES satellites, they use an instrument called the Solar Ultraviolet Imager, or SUVI, to record the sun in ultraviolet wavelengths. So it's not the visible way that we see the sun and the light, because it's the ultraviolet radiation that is dangerous. And so being under a geomagnetic storm watch, Jane, it sounds probably scarier than what it really is, but we are heading toward a solar maximum here on Weather Command.
So you see that Saharan dust kind of moves over the Atlantic from the trade winds, obviously from the Saharan desert, but it has a couple of things it does when it moves over those areas of warm water. For one, if it's thick enough, it actually blocks out all that sunlight that's creating very warm water. And the other thing is it takes away that abundant moisture that is in the equator. Those two things are some really big projectors of organized thunderstorms as well as organized hurricanes. There is a large plume of dust out there over the southern Atlantic. Now, eventually that is going to move its way towards the Gulf of Mexico in the next couple of days. You can see here we actually have a Saharan dust forecast to pull up for you all. You can see by Monday and Tuesday staying offshore a little bit, but as we head into the bulk of this week, you will see that some onshore flow will bring that dust even closer closer to central Texas by Wednesday, potentially Thursday, and maybe even lingering into Friday a little bit. Now that's going to create some hazier conditions for us here at home. However, out there in the tropical Atlantic, it's actually going to help inhibit a lot of activity for the next couple of weeks here.
Okay, so to survive the solar flash in 2030, your heart has to be lighter than a physical feather. And I'm not talking about your physical heart because that's impossible and you would die. I'm talking about your spiritual heart, your heart chakra. Beings who vibrate on their fourth seat, which is your heart chakra, emit a green aura field. And that is how the Elohim can detect who to pick up on the shams. And on April 8th, 2024, there's going to be a solar eclipse over the whole entire country of America. And in the Bible, which is a collection of stolen, over 250,000 stolen Egyptian papyrus scrolls that were written by the wise men of the Nile that the Romans stole and put in a 52-mile tunnel in the Vatican, and they used this to make your Bible. These third-dimensional Europeans could never corrupt documents that fifth-dimensional thinkers wrote. So these Europeans could only corrupt these verses to their own understanding. So based on what consciousness you're vibrating on, you will still be able to see through the corruption. I'm going to show you this. Jesus, who is the Son, the physical Son, S-U-N, of God, who is the black nation, said that the symbol of him returning will be when the sun and the moon darken. And remember how I told you guys that America is the new Babylon, right? Watch this. April 8th, 2024. The sky is going to darken as if it were dawn or dusk because of the solar eclipse, okay? Which is going to be over America, which is the new Babylon. And it is not a coincidence that this solar event is taking place exactly 7 years after the solar eclipse over America in 2017, when the blue star Kachina arrived. And during that eclipse, that little fire that I mentioned in my previous video that's going to spark inside of your etheric body is going to be that ghost DNA that is deactivated in the blood of Africans, that is the Anunnaki genetics. And that solar eclipse is going to trigger the awakening of those genetics. And it's going to start fusing light information into your light body. And if your consciousness can't handle the information, you're going to slowly go insane, turn into a mental zombie, and you're going to die. And the others who are vibrating on their heart chakra or higher will just get an upgrade and get that Christ consciousness, which is the hidden sun within their etheric body.
The United States will be X'd out of history. Do you remember the solar eclipse of August of 2017? I want you to look at the route it went. There's another eclipse happening in 2024. Look at the route that goes. What does it make? It makes an X. So let me ask you a question. Let's say that you're a teacher and your student hands you a test, right? And you review the test and you look and you see some wrong answers. And you put the X next to the wrong answer. What are you saying? That's wrong. I'm crossing that out. If you put a big giant X on the entire test, what does that mean? That the entire test is failed or you're not accepting it. So when God, who orchestrated the positioning of the sun and the earth, created the solar eclipse to make an X upon the United States, what do you think he's saying? Because Jesus said that there will be signs in the sun, the moon, and in the stars. These eclipses were 7 years apart from each other, the number of completion. And you're seeing what's going on now with Russia and Ukraine and China and Taiwan. Think on that.
There's a portal above me. Dennis noticed it. It's a complete circle. It's got one sun there.
I blew an O.
Another sun. You blew an O. I'll tell you what you blew. But yeah, isn't that fucked up?
Look at that. It's more than one.
What the hell? Cocksucker. Yeah. Did you get the whole thing in your picture or what?
No,
it's too big. But it's a perfect fucking circle. It's too big.